Welcome to the deep dive.
We're exploring insights from Horse and Chariot, which it's this great source blending old Christian wisdom with some very practical stuff for, today. It kicks off with this really striking image, doesn't it? The soul as a horse and chariot.
Yeah, it's a classic metaphor, but the way this source uses it is quite specific. It immediately gives you that sense of, potential movement, direction.
Right. But not just any movement. That's the first thing that jumped out at me from the source.
Exactly. It's not enough for the chariot to just be moving. It has to be guided.
Guided towards what the material calls true goodness. Otherwise, it's just aimless motion, maybe even destructive.
Precisely. So that's really our task for this deep dive, isn't it? To unpack how this source uses virtues to guide the different parts of the soul.
Yeah, the intellect, the will, the passions, the whole setup. How do these virtues bring purpose, not just chaos?
Okay, so the source starts by mapping the chariot parts. The intellect, it says, is the charioteer, the one who's supposed to see the way.
Makes sense. The driver and the virtue for the intellect.
Prudence. Practical wisdom. It's about the charioteer actually knowing how to steer, how to make good decisions on the path toward that goodness.
Okay, prudence for the intellect. Then there's the will. What part is that?
The source links the will to the reins. It's what translates the charioteer's direction into actual control over the horses. It's about choosing, holding firm.
Ah, okay. The reins. And the virtue there is justice. That seems maybe less obvious.
Well, the source presents justice not just as external fairness, but as maintaining the right inner order, giving each part its due.
I see. So the will needs that strength, that justice, to consistently choose the right course, even when the passions pull another way.
Exactly. It provides that firmness to the reins.
Which brings us to the horses themselves. They're the passions, right? The raw energy.
That's right. Desire, fear, anger, joy, all that powerful stuff. They provide the horsepower, literally.
But they can run wild if they're not managed.
Totally. So the source gives us two virtues to perfect them. Fortitude and temperance.
Fortitude, courage, endurance. For when the path gets tough or scary.
Yeah, stops the horses bolting or giving up. And temperance is about moderation, especially with desires, keeping that energy constructive.
Okay, so we have prudence, justice, fortitude, temperance, the human virtues, guiding the intellect, will, and passions.
But then the source adds another layer, which is really interesting, the theological virtues.
Faith, hope, and charity. And it says these don't just help the human ones, they elevate the whole thing through grace.
That's the idea. They connect the soul to something beyond just human capacity. Faith, for instance, illuminates the intellect further.
So the charioteer gets a kind of divine perspective, seeing beyond just the immediate road.
Kind of like seeing the path as God sees it, as the source puts it, a deeper understanding.
And hope, where does that fit?
Hope strengthens the will, those reins. It gives an ultimate endurance because the destination, the ultimate goal, is seen as secure. It's more than just human resolve.
An anchor for the will. And charity, divine love. How does that guide the passions, the horses?
This is key. It's presented as the ordering principle for the passions. The source even uses that example of Jesus in the temple, strong emotion, anger even.
Right, overturning the tables.
Well, but framed not as uncontrolled rage, but as righteous energy, perfectly guided by love, by charity, towards restoring true goodness. It directs the horse's power correctly.
Wow, okay, so charity isn't just a nice feeling. It's the ultimate director of that passionate energy.
That seems to be the core argument. So when you see someone who's, prudent, just, brave, balanced, and also clearly driven by faith, hope, and this deep love.
The source suggests you're seeing a soul where all the parts are working together, guided by grace.
Exactly. But it strongly emphasizes it's not about earning anything. It quotes Proverbs.
Right, about human wisdom being useless if God isn't with you, and victory coming from the Lord, not just prepared horses.
It really pushes back against the idea that virtue is just self-improvement or a way to gain favor.
It seems more about cooperation, living in harmony with grace that's already offered.
That's it, precisely. Pursuing virtue isn't the cause of salvation in this view. It's the result of saying yes to the guidance that comes with that gift.
So it's the difference between the chariot being dragged around wildly by the horses.
And the chariot moving with purpose, strength, and even joy because it's aligned with something bigger.
Understanding this whole framework, then, is kind of a tool for self-awareness, seeing where your own chariot might need better guidance.
Absolutely. It gives you a language for it and points towards where that ultimate guidance comes from.
So wrapping this up for you listening, the big idea here isn't just try harder to be good.
No, it's much more about cooperating with a guidance that's already present, letting grace through these virtues lead the way.
The source really leaves us chewing on this idea. Virtue isn't about achieving something on your own steam. It's about living in harmony with grace.
Yeah. And the final thought it leaves us with is, what does it actually look like in your everyday life to say yes to that guidance?
Not in some grand, dramatic way, but in those small moments where your intellect needs light, your will needs strengthening, or your passions need steering. What does that quiet yes look like?